Welcome, Gunrunner.
Since I started doing these amazing facts videos, one thing became clear. You, the audience, really wanted to see me focus on more obscure systems. This has also been backed up in many of the polls I've been running on the channel. And if you cast your mind back a couple of months, you may remember me including the Pioneer LaserActive as a choice on a poll that was ultimately won by the Fujitsu FM Towns Marty. But the Laserdisc based console was actually the early leader, and so many of you put forward compelling arguments for me to cover it, I kept it in mind for the future. And I thought that now was a good time to come back to it rather than running another poll, as I prepared over a month's worth of videos in advance of my summer holiday, so I'm sure that everyone who voted in that poll will be very pleased to see the idea come to fruition. Released in August 1993 in Japan, with North American and European debuts happening in successive months, Pioneer LaserActive remains the only standalone console to use Laserdiscs as a storage medium. It's worth noting that another was planned for release in 1985, some 8 years before, in the form of the RDI Halcyon. But just as the company was getting ready to put it into mass production, they ran out of money, caused partly by the high cost of the Laserdisc players themselves. There was a Laserdisc add-on for the MSX, more on that later, and Atari also planned a Laserdisc add-on for their 7800 Pro System console that ultimately went unreleased. There's a video about that too, and I'll link that in the comments for you. When you consider how popular the format was in the arcades at one time with titles like Dragon's Lair, Space Ace, Cobra Command, Firefox, Cliffhanger and Astron Belt, it perhaps seems strange that the format never made it into a home console earlier. But as you watch this video, I'm sure that the reasons for this will become clear. So without further ado, let's look at 10 amazing Pioneer LaserActive facts.
The Pioneer combination CD Laserdisc player with a 60% sharper picture than most VCRs and the incredible clarity of CD sound. It makes movies, music and concerts truly come to life. Enter Pioneer's Laser Digital Dream Stakes. And zap, you could win a trip for two to Pioneer in Japan to receive the super system of your dreams. Entry forms at your Pioneer dealer.
The obvious starting point for this video is to talk about the main feature of Pioneer's console, the fact that it used Laserdiscs. I don't want to go into the history of the format in too much depth, but it actually made its debut in the market way back in 1978, where it was actually known as DiscoVision, but wasn't really taken seriously until the 80s when low-cost Japanese electronics companies started to support the format, at which point it was renamed Laserdisc to seem less American. Laserdiscs were originally envisaged as a replacement for both videotapes and cassettes, as they could store both music and video, but they never really caught on as hoped. This was down to several factors, including the high cost of producing the players, general reliability problems with the format, the huge size of the discs themselves, 30cm or 12 inches if you wondered, and when compared to videotapes, the inability to record. They did gain a small following in both Japan and the United States however, but apparently they never accounted for more than 10% of the market. A total of 16.8 million Laserdisc players were sold worldwide, of which 9.5 million were sold by Pioneer. So given the company's dedication to the format, it wasn't a surprise to see them try and repurpose it for use in a games console. Although by the time the LaserActive arrived in 1993, CD was starting to become the dominant format, though a lot of people questioned the use of such old technology. Although Japanese electronics company Pioneer already had a reputation for producing high quality audio equipment, particularly car stereos and DJ decks, as well as other entertainment products, a lot of people saw them very much as an outsider when they chose to enter the video game industry too. But those outside of Japan would be forgiven for not knowing that they had previously been a big part of making the MSX the most popular home computer in the land of the rising sun. Machines based on the MSX standard also had a lot of success in some European countries too, especially Spain and the Netherlands, as well as places like North Africa and South Korea. The most important MSX machine that Pioneer produced was the PX7, which was particularly notable for using a pizza box PC style design, when most MSX computers were more traditional looking all-in-one 8-bit micros. The main reason for this was that Pioneer also produced a standalone Laserdisc player that could be connected to the PX7 and stacked on the main unit vertically, with the keyboard staying separate. You may have already connected the dots, but it was actually this MSX Laserdisc setup that formed the basis for the design of the LaserActive, and its influences are certainly very clear for all to see. Although the LaserActive could very much be used as a standalone multimedia system, the addition of what Pioneer called packs would be an integral part of the setup and a big attraction for potential customers. It's unclear what PAC actually stands for, but it's thought that it's an acronym for Pioneer Added Compatibility. There were 4 separate packs available that slotted into the main unit to provide a range of different features. 2 of these, the Karaoke pack and the Computer pack, I will talk about in more detail later on. But the main 2 you need to know about are the Mega LD pack and the LD-ROM 2 pack, also known as the PC Engine pack. As you probably guessed, the latter of those gave the LaserActive full compatibility with the NEC PC Engine, including Super CD-ROM games, as well as standard Hue cards, and also included the arcade card, which was needed to play some of the more advanced CD-based games. The former of those packs was basically the same thing except for the Sega Mega Drive. This was obviously rebranded as Sega Genesis Pack in North America. Like the PC Engine pack, this also gave full compatibility with both cartridge and CD games. Both came bundled with specially branded joysticks, a 6-button variation in the Mega Drive's case, and the Sega branded pack proved to be by far the most popular. What is especially interesting about these packs is that most LaserActive software required one of these to be present, as they used the native graphics capabilities of the Mega Drive and PC Engine to display interactive imagery over the Laserdisc produced video. This of course meant that the LaserActive was useless for playing games without one of these packs installed. The Pioneer LaserActive arrived at a time when multimedia was the new buzzword. As the 90s had come around, a string of new systems came along that very much promoted themselves as interactive multimedia machines, rather than games consoles. These included the likes of the Philips CDI, Commodore CD-TV, and Tandy VIS. Of course, the big difference between these systems and Pioneer's was that the LaserActive utilised laserdiscs rather than compact discs. Rather than the focus of these systems being games, they were designed with more educational software in mind, like travel guides, encyclopedias, films, video music albums, and learning aids. The LaserActive certainly wasn't alone in this regard, with much of its early software fitting into these categories, with games taking a back seat. The big problem with this was that by the time the LaserActive arrived on the market, it had become clear that the multimedia revolution had failed. Consumers just weren't ready to spend that kind of money on a system that didn't really offer any substantial benefits over the standalone machines that they already had, like a personal computer, CD player and VHS video. This had seen all the major manufacturers reevaluate their options, with Commodore cancelling the CD-TV in favour of the more games-orientated CD32, Philips creating new models of the CDI that were both designed and marketed more like a console, and other companies like Atari and 3DO promoting their own systems as consoles with multimedia capabilities, rather than the reverse. As already mentioned earlier, one of the different packs available for the LaserActive was one that turned the console into a fully featured karaoke machine. This not only made the unit fully compatible with all laser karaoke titles, it also added a lot of extra functionality too. The front panel of the karaoke pack has 2 standard microphone inputs with their own separate volume controls, as well as tone control too. There was also the ability to program the unit, select different modes, and turn surround sound on or off, giving it all the same functionality of a similar CD-based karaoke system. The retail price of this pack was $350 in the US and £250 in the UK, making it more expensive than many standalone karaoke machines. not to mention the fact that there was a very small range of Laserdisc karaoke titles available when compared to its CD-based counterparts. Possibly the most interesting add-on for the LaserActive was the Computer Interface Pack. This device featured an RS-232 port, enabling the console to be controlled by custom software developed for a home computer. The pack also came with a 33-button infrared remote control, providing more functionality than the 24-button remote that came included with the base system. This pack also came complete with a computer program called LaserActive Program Editor. This floppy disk was compatible with both PC-DOS and classic Mac OS, which was fairly unusual for the time. Included on the disk was several sample programs that had been created with the editor and could be used with the first of 5 Laserdiscs in the Tensho Muyo anime series. I certainly can't think of any other consoles of this era that could interface with your home computer in this way. It's a shame that the feature was never fully exploited due to the failure of the system in the marketplace. I think many of you will be surprised to learn that the Pioneer LaserActive also supported proper 3D, thanks to a special set of goggles that could be plugged into the console and used with a variety of compatible games. The LaserActive 3D goggles, model code GOL1, employed an active shutter 3D system in the same way as Sega's 3D glasses for the Master System. In fact, the two are totally interchangeable, so it's likely that Pioneer partnered with Sega on the project, just as they had with the Mega Drive pack. There are a total of 6 specific LD-ROM software titles that work with this add-on in the form of 3D Museum, Vajra 2, Virtual Cameraman 2, Dr. Paolo, Goku and Virtual Australia, which was the last piece of software published for the LaserActive in 1996. They can also be used to view 3D images from autostereograms, and a goggle adapter model ADP1 was sold separately to the 3D goggles and enables the user to connect up to 2 pairs of goggles to the console, meaning more than one person can enjoy the experience. Pioneer first released the CLD A100 LaserActive model in Japan on August 20th, 1993 at a cost of 89,800 yen. Now this might not mean a lot to those people who haven't lived in Japan, but to put context on it for my mainly Western audience, the launch price of the unit in the United States was an eye-watering $970, which is $1,800 in today's money, putting it out of reach for the vast majority of households. The price in the UK was £600, which might not sound like quite as much, but that is close to £1,100 adjusted for inflation. For comparison, that is 3 times the price of the more powerful Atari Jaguar, which launched around the same time. The cost of games was comparable to other consoles of the time at around $50, £40 in the UK, with the packs costing from £250 or $350 upwards, which of course added significantly to the already high cost of the standalone unit, and without them a lot of software was incompatible, pretty much making them an essential purchase. When you consider that a complete LaserActive setup, including all packs, reportedly cost $2,550, which is a jaw-dropping $4,700 in today's money. It's easy to see why the system failed. Amongst the 30-odd Laserdisc branded software titles could be found a small but impressive selection of coin-op conversions, but these weren't just any old ports. There were of course conversions of actual Laserdisc arcade games, such was the suitability of the hardware. These hit arcade games included the likes of Data East's Road Avenger, Tato's Time Gal, and Universal's Don Quixote. Some of these titles also appeared on CD-based systems like the Sega Mega CD and 3DO, but were nowhere near as accurate, with the LaserActive versions being much higher resolution too. There were plans to greatly expand this range of arcade-orientated titles before the console was discontinued in 1996. But believe it or not, a port of Dragon's Lair was never even planned for the Pioneer system, despite it being undoubtedly the most popular and successful Laserdisc arcade game of all time. Such is the relative obscurity of the LaserActive, a lot of people are probably unaware that it did actually get a worldwide release, with its debut in the West following just a month after the Japanese one. One reason for this undelayed schedule was because Pioneer didn't implement any kind of region locking, so all software can be played on all models. What is even less well known is that a second variation of the LaserActive was actually produced in Japan by NEC Electronics. No doubt this was part of the agreement between NEC and Pioneer for the PC Engine Pack add-on. Known as the LD-ROM 2 system, or model number PCE LD1, it was released in December 1993, priced identically to the original system and also accepted Pioneer's pack modules. However, it didn't, as you might have expected, include the PC Engine Pack, which seems strange given the NEC branding and the model number. As you can no doubt imagine, the NEC consoles are much rarer than Pioneer's and highly collectible because of this.
UFO の中での宇宙人の娯楽はレーザーアクティブというマシンなんです。綺麗な絵と自在に遊べるところが驚きでした。すごい臨場感のシューティングゲームにサウンドまで 3D の立体映像、その上 LD や CD まで楽しめるんです。
ロング氏が持ち帰った感動と興奮をパイオニアはそのまま再現。未体験と遊ぶ、それがレーザーアクティブ。
私の体験ビデオ差し上げます。
Pioneer.
And that rounds up my look at 10 amazing Pioneer LaserActive facts. Which one of these fabulous facts was your favourite? Or can you think of any other tantalising tidbits of trivia that I didn't include? I always love to hear the thoughts and views of my audience, so please get typing in that comments section. Before I go though, I must thank all of my loyal patrons who continue to support my channel and make videos like this possible. However, I must give special thanks to following patrons and YouTube backers in particular for their much appreciated pledges. Grady Haynes, D. Vaughan, Mitchell Valentino, Neptune, Seth A. Robinson, Carl Olsen, Dos Gamerman, Sonic Mania 999, Paul Daniel, James Taylor, Retro Resolution, and Electron Star Collapse. If you also want to help support all my creative endeavours, including this YouTube channel, then please go and check out my Patreon right now. You can get access to extra content, including downloads, exclusive videos, creative insights, and much more besides. I've been the Laird, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you all again for another video very soon.
And made artificial rain for his gardens. It is said that the king created the gardens to please Queen Amethyst as a remembrance of her upbringing in the mountainous country of Medea.